What's up, guys? It's July, and there's no better month than July to review shark movies. And I always like to throw in a couple of deep cuts, older movies that people don't talk about as much. And we're going to review Open Water. So let's get into it. Open Water stars Blanchard Ryan, Daniel Travis, and is directed by Chris Kentis.
This can't be happening.
What's up, guys? It is shark review time. We're going to review Open Water. I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard of this movie. I think this is one of those like novelty movies just because of how low budget the movie is, and it was one of those movies that came upon the scene at a certain time and people started talking about it. And I think one of the reasons is just because it's a good movie, but yet you can tell it's filmed on such a low budget. And when you first start watching this movie, you might be tempted to turn it off because you know how it is. You see a movie poster that looks amazing and you think, oh, I bet this is going to be a good movie. And then you start watching the movie, and then all of a sudden the budget just kind of leaps out at you. And you're like, do I want to give 2 hours of this movie, to myself, or do I want to move on to the next thing? And a lot of times we move on to the next thing. We don't want to invest our time into a movie that, let's face it, more than likely it's going to suck, all right? And that's not a knock at whoever filmed the movie. Filming any movie is not easy, and making a good movie is a lot harder. And it helps when you have the budget and the equipment to make that movie look, cinematic and like it fits on the big screen. Okay, this is not that movie. This is a very low budget looking movie, but it happens to be really good, has an interesting story. There's no visual effects in it whatsoever, and you do have some good talent in the acting department. They are serviceable actors, and I think this is a testament to strong acting, because if you are a bad actor and you're in a low budget movie, everything kind of hinges on you and your performance, because you're the only thing that can really save that movie. If you have bad acting in a movie that looks like it was filmed in a backyard, forget it. It's over. It's over, okay? Whereas some like Hollywood movies that have sort of bad acting, they can almost get away with it sometimes if the visual effects are just like insane. Like I'm looking at you, Transformers. So anyway, let's get into this review. Let me give you a quick plot synopsis. Blanchard Ryan and Daniel Travis play Susan and Daniel. They are on a vacation. They have a very busy working life. They are boyfriend and girlfriend. And they just happen to kind of squeeze out a bit of time to actually go on this vacation, this like scuba diving excursion, where you have like a group of people, like say 20, 25 people, and everybody gets to take turns going out and scuba diving. There is a mishap during this whole excursion where the guy who's tallying up everyone to make sure everyone's checked off and they don't leave anyone behind, he messes up because a couple of the tourists actually are counted twice, and that's the mix-up here. But it's ultimately the fault of the company because the scuba equipment is still not accounted for. They were only accounting for the people. And this is based on a true story. I haven't researched how true this story is, but I would imagine this stuff does happen. There are so many true stories out there of like vacations that end up going horribly wrong for a variety of reasons. And sometimes they make it into documentaries, like the Poop Cruise documentary that just came on Netflix. I remember seeing that story. I forgot that it was freaking more than 10 years ago. Yeah, this stuff does happen, and it can sometimes capture the zeitgeist. I don't remember this story in the news, but again, I think I could see how something like this would happen because of human error. At the end of the day, we are depending on people to not make mistakes and sometimes make deadly mistakes. So anyway, they are left out in the water for the duration of the movie. And I think because of the low budget, they kind of get away with it here, because if you're framing the ocean with a couple of people in there, you can make that look really beautiful.
You've got to be kidding me.
It better be one of those.
Well, which one do you think?
I don't know.
And you're doing a lot of different angles, a lot of different cuts in the editing department, and you can get away with it. And this movie does look very serviceable. They only spent $130,000 to make this movie in 2003, which is quite insane. They spent, less than half the budget of the original Halloween, which was filmed in 78. And I believe this movie actually made, a good amount at the box office. And the thing that really saved it was introduced in the Sundance Film Festival. And then that's where it kind of blew up. Going behind the scenes on this, Chris Kentis and a couple of other people, they wanted to make this movie and they made it on weekends. They had like normal day jobs and they knew a lot about scuba diving and they were inspired by this true story. And they formed a story around it. And I'm sure there was liberties taken, but they spent 2.5 years doing this movie just on weekends. And I find stories like that so inspiring because if you want to do this, if you want to make a movie, this is proof that you can do it. All you got to do is pick up a camera, and I believe they only had a crew of like 3 people doing this movie. And then, of course, your actors. Again, this is stuff that anybody can do. And if you have a good team, good editor, and a good story, then you end up getting a Blair Witch or a Clerks or an Open Water. And also, the idea of making it a shark movie, I think, was a genius idea. If you're doing a very, very low-budget movie, if you grab onto like a novelty idea that everybody's interested in, and they were inspired by Jaws, of course. The last names of the main characters are Jaws related. Watkins and Kittner, which are characters in Jaws, named after Chrissy Watkins and the Kittner kid that got killed in Jaws that was eaten by the shark. But yeah, there's your hook. Grab something that people are drawn to. And, you do a movie poster and it's a shark movie. Let's face it, there's a lot of us, we watch shark movies just based on the poster alone. If you see a shark in there, I'm going to give it a shot. I might end up loving this movie. I might like it. Who knows? So Open Water was a good idea, but I think what saves this movie isn't the sharks. I think it's the situation. These 2 characters stuck in the water and kind of showing the progression, starting with not feeling like you're in danger. Like this is a mistake and this boat is going to show up and we're going to be safe.
Daniel, where's the boat?
And then let's figure out what the spectrum is there from that point to, oh shit, we are in real trouble here.
No, be still. Just splash around.
And then ultimately, we're going to die. So how do we handle this situation? Every emotion is handled throughout this movie too. Thank God they had really good actors doing this because they start off loving and even joking about the whole thing. But eventually, they get into an argument. And you start playing the blame game and yelling at each other. That's what they're doing. These are all normal human emotions. And we all would do this if we were trapped in the water with our loved ones, or even maybe a friend, who knows? So that's what latched me onto this movie the whole time. Really feeling for these 2 characters, even when they think they're safe. We know they are screwed. And it's often quite heartbreaking at times. And I think the ultimate test to any movie like this that's a shark movie is that you're not waiting for the shark attack. Because most of the time, that's what the entertainment value hinges on. You're waiting for that shark attack, okay? Let me get through these characters that might be kind of boring or just uninteresting. But, once that shark attack happens, then, okay, now we're good. I was really never even wondering about the shark attack just because I was so involved in this couple and how heartbreaking the situation was and them trying to figure out how to get out of this mess. It's not just the idea of getting eaten by sharks, but also exhaustion, hunger, because they haven't eaten in a full day, getting seasick because your body is constantly floating. This movie offers the gamut and you end up looking away from the budget. It's not as noticeable because of the fine performances. There is a nudity scene in the movie that is pretty pointless, but they were insistent on having something to keep the audience's attention until they get into the water. And Blanchard Ryan, when she took the role, she didn't want to do the scene, but it was in the contract, so she had to do the scene. So she eventually did it. She looks like a spitting image of Charlize Theron. And the camera definitely loves her. So yeah, overall, I'm going to give this movie a purchase worthy, high purchase worthy. I quite enjoyed it, and I think it offers a different alternative in terms of a shark movie. You know, this is very different than what Jaws is. Jaws just has such a massive budget feel to it. It's beautifully shot. It's got everything. Jaws is the perfection. But this, it's much more low budget, and to be able to kind of pull you away from the threat of the shark is no easy feat. But that threat is still always present, so it adds to the recipe. So yeah, high purchase worthy for sure for Open Water, and I think I'm gonna do the sequel to Open Water 2. My friend Leila, you know, my partner in crime for Killer Flicks, she's been asking me to do Open Water 2 forever, so I'm gonna do that and I'm gonna dedicate that to her. So let me know what you guys think of Open Water in the comments. Looking forward to hearing them. Also, be sure to come over to Killer Flicks, where we talk horror all day and every day. And on Fridays, we do Fever Fridays. Follow me Drumdums on my socials. Support me on Patreon. Become a channel member. Buy me a coffee. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Have a good day, and Drumdum out.